for the Muslim community in particular, the optics are still really bad. And I think where the post-truth thing really hurts is that, honestly, if a Muslim family moved next door to you, you would be the happiest person in the world. First of all, the chances of your kids getting in trouble just went way down, okay? Went way down, because the Muslim community has the lowest crime rate, the highest entrepreneurship, the highest educational attainment for women in the country. They are the model American community. And so when you have people who are now afraid to come here, and that's starting to happen, you have geniuses who are from Pakistan, who are from Indonesia, who now that I don't know if I'm safe here, that becomes an economic problem for America long term. So that we're starting to do stuff here that doesn't make good sense for what has made us great so far, and the optics are still very bad.
And that's why Pat McCrory lost to North Carolina.
There's a difference between what Van is talking about and looking at what just happened in Ohio. Somebody who came in here and was not vetted seriously well. I mean, if he had postings.
Well, he's 18 years old. It came, what, in 2014?
Like,
so he was
but
15?
Anderson, what I'm saying is we had, what, 2 of the 9/11 hijackers who were floating around with their visas expired. We had San Bernardino. These things are happening, and people are winding up dead. Clearly, the system is not working.
We've had 3 refugees do something bad out of millions.
He's saying thousands. He's saying
the families of the dead.
He's saying thousands pouring in. We have no idea who they are.
No. There's a term that the Border Patrol uses. It's OTM, other than Mexicans coming in. So there is truth to the fact that there are lots of people coming in, thousands probably. I don't know the exact number because we don't have that control on it.
Well, I've gotten a lot of feedback from that night.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, malik yawmiddin, iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, ihdina as-siratal mustaqim, siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Ameen. The English translation of that is, in the name of Allah, most compassionate, most merciful. Praise be to Allah, the cherisher and sustainer of the world's most compassionate, most merciful, master of the day of judgment. Thee do we worship. Show us the straight way, the way of those on whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, those whom portion is not wrath, and who go not astray. And with that, welcome to another episode of the History, Community, Diversity of Muslim Americans in New England. I am Hassan Rashid, your host, and I'll be here with you for approximately 25 more minutes. It's excellent being here with you, and it's such a great achievement to come into your lives and households, etc., like we do here at CCTV every day. Okay, and with that, once again, I welcome you with the cordial of the ancient Arabic cordial, and that is Assalamu alaikum in Arabic, and it's peace in English. So peace and sanity be unto you. Okay, first I'd like to send out my condolences to all of the families that were directly and indirectly affected by the Tenderloin fire that was just happened a day or two ago here in Cambridge. So I send out my condolences and deepest sympathies for all of the victims, whether they were directly or indirectly affected. Okay, so here's a message from the Cambridge City Council. The Cambridge seeks to identify permanent housing for fire victims. Okay, dear Cambridge friends, you are receiving this message because you have signed up for a citywide, citywide specific planning from information related to Cambridge. We are deviating to send you this one-time message due to extenuating circumstances related to the fire this weekend in Berkshire environments. That's the, I understand it's the Harrington, Wellington neighborhood. That's where the fire, Tenderloin fire occurred, rather the Wellington, Harrington neighborhood, okay? The city of Cambridge is seeking to identify permanent rental housing for tenants and property owners displaced as a result of December 3rd, 2016 fire in the Wellington, Harrington neighborhood. As we assess the housing needs of each family, we are seeking to identify alternative housing in Cambridge for every household in need. quote unquote city official. Any Cambridge property owner with the housing that could be offered to victims should contact the mayor's office. You hear that? You should contact the mayor's office if you're a property owner with housing that could be offered to victims. Okay, so the mayor's number is 617-349-4321. Again, the mayor's office is 617-349-4321. To help us match families in needs with available housing. Housing needs include both affordable and market rate housing, with a particular need for housing with 3 or 4 bedrooms that can accommodate families. So I guess the greatest need right now is 3 or 4 bedroom housing. Okay, so once again, if you have this housing to offer, or you want to help out the families that are directly affected by this, you can call the mayor's office, 617-349-4321. And once again, my greatest sympathies go out to all of the families and people who are directly and indirectly affected by this past 10-alarm fire that occurred this weekend. I heard there was about over 10 to 12 structures that were affected by this fire, so it was major. Okay, but once again, my sympathies go out to all the families directly and indirectly affected by this fire. Okay, so here's another item here. It's about the governor, and it's the governor slashes spending. Legislative leaders say cuts premature. Blair Baker slashes spending. Legislators leaders says cuts are premature. So we won't get into that this occasion. We'll wait to the next episode of Human Service News and Information to go in detail about that. Okay. Believe it or not, there are Muslims who voted for anti-Muslim Trump. Okay, the main reason for the Republican frontrunner won the votes of Muslim economic and foreign policies. Despite the U.S. President-elect's inflammatory remarks against Muslims and his call for curtailing many civil liberties of members of the religious group, there were a surprising number of Muslims who voted for him. Okay, the Trump effect, the most violent year in the U.S. for Muslims. The Council of American Islamic Relations, that's CAIR, the largest Muslim civil rights organization in the United States, released exit poll numbers Tuesday, revealing that 13% of Muslims voted for Trump on election day. In fact, he received twice as much support as a GOP presidential candidate than Mitt Romney in 2012. Okay, the main reason for the Republicans' frontrunner won the votes of Muslims, economic and foreign policy. According to CAIR, that's the Council on American Islamic Affairs polling, American Muslims that supported Trump said the primary issues of concern revolved around the economy, taxes. CAIR Government Affairs Director Robert McCaw, who coordinated the polling, told me, he told CAIR, it is easy to see why a certain percentage of a Muslim community would want to benefit from the President-elect Trump's proposed tax plan and breaks for small business. For Kareem, a Muslim Egyptian roots who worked as a financial analyst in Washington, D.C., it was that, as well as his disdain for foreign aid. His tax plan is promising and would save me around US $800 a month, factoring in state taxes, and its foreign policy views would less likely get us involved in a war while ending aid to rebel groups and countries, Kareem told, I guess that's CAIR. Okay, Oz Sultan, a former Trump surrogate and a counter-terrorist strategist, cited the failures of the Democratic Party. We had 8 years of opportunities for the Democrat to do something to reach out to the American Muslim community, but instead of outreach, we got what we got were countering violence, extremism programs that spied in our community, said Sultan. Clinton, as a Secretary of State, destabilized Libya while ignoring safe zones in Syria that resulted in both the refugee crisis and the death of thousands of Muslim women and children. For Shireen Cordosi, Trump rhetoric of fighting the political establishment despite his position in the elite rank of U.S. society was enough to sway her. Not only was Trump running against the entire political establishment, but he took on an even bigger establishment, the media. what else he told, I guess, Kerr. Trump was the underdog who already knew he's champion. His character mirrored the generals of great wars who took the hard fight because it was a right fight. I saw myself in that, so I just want to show you the other side of the coin. Everybody's out condemning Trump. They're going out protesting, but there are those who didn't. And there are those in the Muslim community who actually supported this gentleman election bid. Okay, here's one more. This is a gentleman, I don't see his name here, but he said, just returned from the mosque. No one is paranoid about a Muslim registry except the white leftists who are eager to make us victims. That's the Muslim registry. Trump says he's going to establish a Muslim registry during his presidency. Okay, so, but does Muslim, his view on that, once again, no one is paranoid about a Muslim registry except the white leftists who are eager to make us victims. Okay. Dudley, Massachusetts. We turn to Dudley, Massachusetts right now, and Muslims been having trouble all last year, trying to establish a Muslim cemetery in Dudley, Massachusetts. Okay, before I get on to that, I'd like to remind you that the opening video was a video of Van Johnson as he appeared on the Gentleman's show. I can't say, but he had good compliments for Muslims. He said that Muslims were the most modest community in the United States. Okay, so something to that effect. We're going to try to get back to that video and let you judge for yourself what that's all about. Okay, and he was also the one that came out saying this fake news, and he got on the media for broadcasting and presenting fake news to the public at large. Okay, and he was highly controversial for that. Okay, I'm going to try to get back to that, but right now, Dudley Mass wants overvote on proposed Muslim cemetery. The Massachusetts Attorney General's office is cautioning town officials against holding a town-wide vote on a proposal for a Muslim cemetery on abandoned farmland. Okay, Geneva Nando, the civil rights chief for Attorney General Maura Haley, says that under state law, a community, in this case, the town of Dudley, can't prohibit, regulate, or restrict the use of land on structures for religious purposes. The warning comes a month after Jay Talaman, a lawyer of the Islamic Society of Greater Worcester, said the Dudley Board of Selectmen turned down the group's proposal to use a 55 acres of farmland for the cemetery, citing traffic and environmental concerns. The dismissal of the proposal sparked a federal investigation. The board held a closed-door meeting Friday to discuss the December 1st letter. Tellerman tells the Boston Globe an agreement hasn't been reached, but the selectmen are moving in the right direction. During town meetings on the proposal, resident Dudleys have said they are concerned that burial practices could contaminate underwater because Muslims traditionally do not embalm bodies and bury the dead without a coffin. They have also cited concerns about noise, vandalism, increased traffic on the narrow road where the cemetery would be built. One resident said he worried he would have to listen to crazy music like the Islamic call to prayer. Proposals for Muslim cemeteries in other states have been met with similar resistance, including Carlisle, Pennsylvania, Framingham, Minnesota, and Farmersville, Texas. All I have to say is Allah bless the Muslims and their endeavors to establish a Muslim cemetery in the township or town of Dudley, Massachusetts. Okay, Sharon, Massachusetts, hit with anti-Islamic letters. There's a lot of these letters been going around. These anti-Islamic letters been sent out to mosques, clear down to Rhode Island and New Hampshire. They're complaining about these letters. We're going to get into this letter in a few more minutes, but I want to go back to Mr. Van Johnson and his appearance on this show. Okay, on the view. Okay, hold on. Okay.
For the Muslim community in particular, the optics are still really bad. And I think where the post-truth thing really hurts is that, honestly, if a Muslim family moved next door to you, you would be the happiest person in the world. First of all, the chances of your kids getting in trouble just went way down, okay? Went way down, because the Muslim community has the lowest crime rate, the highest entrepreneurship, the highest educational attainment for women in the country. They are the model American community. And so when you have people who are now afraid to come here, and that's starting to happen, you have geniuses who are from Pakistan, who are from Indonesia, who now that I don't know if I'm safe here, that becomes an economic problem for America long term. So that we're starting to do stuff here that doesn't make good sense for what has made us great so far, and the optics are still very bad.
And that's why Pat McCrory lost North Carolina.
There's a difference between what Van is talking about and looking at what just happened in Ohio. Somebody who came in here and was not vetted seriously well. I mean, if he had post.
He's 18 years old. It came in 2014. So he was
But
15.
Anderson, what I'm saying is we had two of the 9/11 hijackers who were floating around with their visas expired. We had San Bernardino. These things are happening, and people are winding up dead. Clearly, the system.
We've had three refugees do something bad out of millions.
He's saying thousands. He's saying
families of the dead.
One of the things
he's saying thousands pouring in. We have no idea who they are.
There's a term that the Border Patrol uses. It's OTM, other than Mexicans coming in. So there is truth to the fact that there are lots of people coming in, thousands probably. I don't know the exact number because we don't have that control on it.
Investigators now say the suspect in Monday's attack at Ohio State University
Okay, that was correction. That was the Anderson Cooper show. Van Johnson appeared saying that the Muslims were the most model community in the U.S. Okay, getting back to Sharon Ma's hit with the anti-Islamic letters. The author of anonymous letters told Hamas that he will do whatever he can to stop Muslims from entering the country. Okay, the Islamic Center of New England and Sharon received a letter last week which addressed the Islamic Centers of America. According to a copy given to the Patriot Ledger, the author of the anonymous letter says no more Muslims are wanted in the county, and includes a depiction of American flag. The author's letter says that Islam is inconsistent with American values and pledges to do whatever he can to stop Muslims from entering the country. While the letter has the same sentiment towards Muslims, it is not the same as the one received by the Islamic Center of Boston in Wayland. 5 hidden ways. Okay, so that's another article. Okay, Ahmed Barika, Vice President of the Islamic Center of New England, said many of the mosque members are second and third generation Americans. We'll say a copy of the letter was passed on to the Sharon Police Department. Okay, the Islamic Center of New England, Quincy location has not received a letter per Keith said, but there's a lot of these letters going around, and as soon as I get a few of them, if it's God's will, inshallah, I will try to present them to you. Okay, share them with you. Okay, solidarity with Muslims. The the city of Springfield went on record with a resolution of solidarity with Muslims. So I want to read you some of this letter, or this proclamation of solidarity with Muslim Americans in Springfield. The city of Springfield, that includes the mayor and the city council and everybody that's employed by the city. Okay, in the city council's October 24, 2016 meeting, they proclaimed that solidarity with Muslims. It went like this. Whereas the United States was founded by immigrants, many fleeing religious persecution, who encircled freedom of religion as one of our nation's fundamental legal and ethical principles. Whereas the history of Islam in the United States began even before its founding, when African Muslims were enslaved and brought to the Americas. where they later helped in numerous ways to build this country, including sacrificing their lives on the line in every major war from the Revolutionary War on. And whereas there are more than 3 million Muslims living in the United States today, thousands living in the city of Springfield, making invaluable contributions to our economy, our social and political life, and our culture. Whereas there has been an unprecedented backlash since 9/11 in the form of hate crimes, employment discrimination towards Arab and Muslim Americans and those perceived as Muslims. Whereas Arabs and Muslim Americans and those perceived as Muslims are frequently the target of abusive, discriminatory police practices sanctioned by the states, including surveillance in their neighborhood and places of worship. And whereas we are saddened and outraged at the recent escalation of hate rhetoric against Muslims, those perceived to be Muslims, immigrants, and all people of color, and we are particularly concerned to see political figures and elected government officials leading this escalation and using it in order to gain power. And whereas in face of the extreme bigotry and violence, Muslim communities and their leaders are using the language and teachings of Islam to promote peace and justice and services in their institutions that continue to play an essential social role, providing charitable and humanitarian services to those in need. And whereas we're elected, we as elected representatives of the people have a special responsibility not to stay silent in the face of hate, violence, and discrimination against any of our constituents or countrymen. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Springfield City Council hereby condemns all hateful speech and violent action directed at Muslims, those perceived to be Muslim immigrants and people of color. Okay, I have to talk to, I'd like to see something like that happen here in Cambridge. I'd have to talk to City Councilman Nadeem Mazen, who is a Muslim American, and see if he can get the City Council and the City of Cambridge to do something similar, make a proclamation of solidarity with Muslims, a proclamation solidarity with Muslims, such as the City of Springfield has just announced. Okay, you know what? We're running out of time, and I'd like to try to leave you with this message. Superior can never be subjected by inferior. So until next time you see you, I'd like to leave you with the ancient cordial of peace and sanity, goodwill, and that is Assalamu alaikum. We're going to try to get to something that's been on my mind. We're going to try to close the program with a video that's been on my mind, the subject of the video that's been on my mind, and it's about these honor killings that's happening in Muslim countries, and even spread to the United States. That's about how fathers are turning against their daughters, and brothers are turning against their sisters, nieces, and any female for just a petty reason, and they kill them too because they say that they're offended, their honor is offended. Okay, but I tell you, the Quran doesn't endorse this. That's the holy book of Muslims, and it's not an Islamic practice. So let the video explain more about it to you than I can. Okay.
In February 2016, the Pakistan government promised to amend their laws around honor killings. This comes on the heels of the 2016 Academy Award-winning short documentary, A Girl in the River, The Price of Forgiveness. The film tells the story of a Pakistani woman who was badly beaten, shot in the head, and left in a river to die, all because she married a man whom her father and uncle didn't approve. In fact, the UN has estimated that as many as 5,000 honor killings like this occur every year. So what exactly are honor killings? An honor killing is the murder of one family member by another due to a perceived shameful act by the victim upon their family or community. They are predominantly carried out in honor-based societies, which define a person's standing by their integrity in the eyes of the community. Those with honor are generally viewed as good, while those without are shamed. In these societies, women are believed to dishonor their families through immoral, often sexual behavior. Because a woman is generally understood as a man's property, their betrayal strips away their honor and can be punishable by death. Honor killings can happen as the result of a woman seeking to escape from an arranged marriage or having an extramarital affair. They can also stem from actions as basic as dating someone not accepted by a family or wearing Western clothing. Some women have even been killed after being victim to a sexual assault or rape. In 2015, a Syrian woman was brutally murdered, allegedly by her father and brothers, after she was gang raped. The woman had fled Syria 2 years earlier for fear that her family would see her as unclean. Honor killings were prominent in ancient Rome, where the male head of the family could murder sexually active daughters and adulterous wives. This idea carried into the Ottoman Empire, where men who were found guilty of killing their wives were exempt from responsibility or given reduced sentences. Ottoman men were even known to publicly boast about the act as a way to increase their honor. Interestingly, this idea was borrowed from an almost identical 19th century French penal code, which remained on the books until 1975. Today, honor killings are usually associated with countries in the Middle East and North Africa, but the horrific practice still occurs in other parts of the world, including India, Europe, Latin America, and the US. Despite its prevalence in Islamic regions, honor killings are never mentioned in the Quran or Hadiths, and religious authorities like Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran have publicly denounced the practice. But in countries like Jordan and Iraq, the legal system tacitly approves of honor killings, as murder sentences are reduced if the victim was deemed to have brought dishonor to their family. In fact, perpetrators in Jordan reportedly served no more than 6 months behind bars for the crime. The Queen of Jordan has repeatedly spoken out against honor killings. However, the country's parliament has resisted closing up loopholes that allow killers to get off with little or no punishment. But government negligence is only part of the problem. The larger issue is the subordinate role women play in society. According to a 2013 study, nearly half of Jordanian boys and 20% of girls believe that killing a woman in the name of honor is justifiable. Religious and political leaders in countries like Pakistan and Jordan are pushing measures that would further criminalize honor killings. However, the heinous acts are likely to continue until broad societal norms also give way. Westerners have a lot of misconceptions